Hi everyone, so welcome to my second YouTube video after I published my first one a few days ago about video games. Of course, there was a lot of learns in that, the volume was pretty low, and it's kind of like slowly learning how to use OBS. And I've been looking at some other YouTube videos about OBS, so I put a bit of sound suppression to try and block out background noise, added some volume like gain, so added a little bit more, so hopefully the mic volume gets better. So anyway, let's get started today. Let's see what we are going to talk about. But before that, let me introduce myself again. So my name is Tenshi. Yep, as some of you may know, if you saw my first video, probably not. It wasn't that good. Hopefully I'm improving. It's actually based on an anime character, Tensumiya. And here is one of the DVD covers that I have. One of my favorite animes of all time. Well, got a bit of a sore throat. So yeah, definitely, if you are an anime fan and you've not seen this anime series before, definitely check it out. One of my favorites. So definitely check it out. It's in the 90s. So, if anybody just kind of got into anime, may find some animation a bit old school, but I like that kind of animation. It's more kind of hand drawn, So definitely check it out. So, what is the topic for today? Film and TV. So I went to all kind of geek stuff. So if you so happen to see my first video, I did mention, especially the first one, talking about video games is now my number one pastime. Currently second is probably film and TV. Probably TV because of the pandemic, I haven't been to the cinema theatre for, almost a year now. So what is we gonna do today? Talking geeky stuff. What is the topic today? Let's see. Star Wars. I thought I'd talk about Star Wars because I just so happened to finish off the Mandalorian second season. So I'll talk about that. And at the same time, I'll be talking about some of the movies shown here. I hope I can get away with all this image, Star Wars logo, and covers and posters for the Star Wars movies. Without getting, I don't know, Lucasfilm on my case. But then again, it's my second video, so it's just a small channel. They probably won't even notice me. I'm just hoping. So, back to Star Wars, huh? So, no, yeah, finally finished Mandalorian a couple of days ago. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was better than the first season. And especially what happened at the end. So I won't spoil it. Anybody who's seen it know what I'm talking about. And it was a real needed surprise, I think, with what's happening to Star Wars, So let's talk a bit about background about Star Wars, me and Star Wars. So of course, I watched Star Wars in the 80s. So New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. The first original trilogy, my favorite one is The New Hope. Then, the funny thing was, I actually enjoyed Return of the Jedi more, second. And then Empire Strikes Back. Not to say that Empire Strikes Back was worse. I just liked it more, but I just think I enjoyed Return of the Jedi a little bit more than Empire Strikes Back. But New Hope has always been my favorite. And of course, after that, we all waited many, many years. And then, of course, I remember, I think in '96, that year, when Lucasfilm did a remastered, added special effects, cutscenes, and I remember watching all of them again in the cinema. That was great. I was a bit funny about some of the new special effects. I thought some of them didn't work, especially the scene where Han Solo shot, the other person in the canteen. The bit where he walked on Jabba's tail. I didn't think that really worked. Some of the CGI was okay, I suppose, but I'm always a sucker for the old version, which I'm glad I have both of those on DVD. Well, now Blu-ray, of course. I also got the despecialized edition, which is a classic. Then after 96 passed, was it? Fast forward a few more years, you had the prequel trilogy. And I remember at that time, all the hype, and people was going on about how great Phantom Menace was. I remember watching it thinking, yeah, great special effects. I think Lucas really deserved credit on really expanding the universe, new characters, new lore. I thought it was good in that aspect. But as an overall movie, it was lacking a lot of things like acting, script. I did like the Jedi, the saber fighting was pretty good. I mean, some complained about it was too kind of dancing around and wishy-washy, but I thought it was pretty good myself. You actually had Jedi's at the peak, at the prime fighting, not like the original one when whenever there was always fights, there's always one at the peak, one at the end of the peak. So it never seemed a fair fight back in the original trilogy. So that was a plus in the prequel trilogy, where you had Jedi's in their prime fighting and so on. So that's pretty good. But just overall, it was okay. It wasn't amazing. I remember watched the first time, being a Star Wars fan. I'm not amazingly a massive fan, but I'm in between hardcore and casual, because I don't really keep up with things like comics, books, or some of the TV shows. Well, except for Mandalorian, of course. Things like Clone Wars and all that stuff. So I'm not really. No, I played a few games, of course, but no, I'm a mid hardcore fan. I'm not say hardcore, mid fan. But and then of course, then I watched it again in cinema, Phantom Menace, and I realized, I think the weight, the nostalgia kind of wore off. I realized, wow, as a movie, it wasn't really that good, acting wise, script. Some of the dialogue was just bad. And then the second one came out, Attack of the Clones. So I still went to watch it. I thought that was okay. I think it was Attack of the Clones, in my opinion, was the worst one. And then the third one, was it Return of the Sith? I'm sorry if I got it wrong. So that was pretty cool. I like that. I actually liked it. I really liked the fight at the end with Obi-Wan and Anakin. And I thought Hayden Christensen's acting actually got better in the third one. I really liked it. Especially, the ending when he turned into, when they made him into Darth Vader, and he kind of got up, rose up, and he went, no. That was a bit lame. But that was still the better one out of the three. I did like that. I watched it about 3 times in cinema, so I thought it was really good. And then of course, he stopped for a little while, and then you had all the TV shows and animated TV shows, of course, some comic books and some on games. I kind of lost track with Star Wars for a bit. And then of course, a few years ago, you heard what happened. Disney went and purchased Lucasfilms. And I thought, that's pretty good. Disney at the time was pretty good. They also purchased Marvel Studios, MCU, and I felt that it was at that time anyway. I felt it was in good hands, because Disney had the money. I think Star Wars at that time was the biggest movie franchise of all time. I think it's still one of the biggest, but I think it's been taken over by MCU now. And of course, Catherine Kennedy was the president. And at first, I thought great, because Catherine Kennedy came from the kind of Steven Spielberg camp, producing a lot of his films, with her husband Frank Marshall. And I thought she would have kind of that kind of Indiana Jones adventure type of movie, which Star Wars is about. It's a space opera action adventure movie, right? So I thought she'd keep the movies in that kind of Steven Spielberg kind of style. And of course, 2015 December, The Force Awakens come out. Remember watching it, and of course, like everyone, everyone at the time was so hyped about it. And we ended up making over $2 billion so worldwide. So it was a good start, and it felt like really Star Wars really came back. The buzz, and it was back into Star Wars. People who kind of dropped off for a little while came back. New fans. Then of course, watching it a second time. With movies like that, I tend to watch it a second time because the first time you see films like that, especially when you're a fan of a film, you kind of get kind of glassy eyed. What I mean by glassy eyed, you don't see it for what it is until the second viewing. So I watched it a second time. Not to say it got worse, but I realized it was kind of like almost like a repeat of A New Hope. It had a lot of same beats going on, same structure. Anyways, I still liked it. I mean, looking back, I still give it a 8 out of 10 movie. And I thought, it was a great start for a new trilogy. I think it was a safe movie, and I think that was the right decision. They got J.J. Abrams. I thought he was a decent director. I like some of his films. I thought he was a safe director. The movie was a safe movie. Didn't do anything special, but I think they had to play it safe. They really had to had the biggest movie franchise on his hands, so they had to play it safe. And I felt back once it came out, it made over 2 billion. People come back to Star Wars, and from the second and third one, they can really expand it, play around with a bit more of the lore. So that's what I was initially thought, right? And then of course, a few years later, they released. Then of course, they announced Rian Johnson. I wanted to see one of his other films, which what was that film again? With Bruce Willis, they had to keep on going back in time. I'm sorry what that film is called. It might come back to me later, but if you do know, please let me know. That film was pretty good. I didn't mind that. I thought it was a pretty good sci-fi movie. So I thought, okay, he did that movie. Maybe he can give it maybe a little bit more of a darker tone. The way they seem like it, they want to make, it seems like every trilogy movie, the sequel, the second one in between is always the darker one, So I thought, okay, it'd be a pretty good choice. Making me Rian Johnson can do something. And then lo and behold, I started hearing mixed reviews, and then so I finally went to the cinema, watched it. I came out, I remember thinking, did I like it? I wasn't even sure if I liked it or not, or did I hate it? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Rian Johnson does have an eye for action and great cinema photography. It was great. He looked fantastic. The color scheme, the sweeping cameras, battle scenes. I thought it was great. It had really good scenes and stuff like that, set pieces. And then the more I sat down, I went, what? I'm not sure if I liked it or not. But did I hate it? I wasn't sure. So of course, a few days later, I went to watch it again. And then I came out thinking, you know what? That is the worst Star Wars movie I've seen. I mean, production value, scenes, acting, yeah, a lot better. It was actually, to me, worse than Phantom Menace. And that was originally my worst Star Wars film. But considering Last Jedi came out, acting was decent, the script was, so-so, dialogue was sometimes it was good, sometimes it was just terrible. It was like, do people even say things like that? And I really didn't like it. I just felt they disrespected Star Wars itself. They disrespected Luke. I mean, this is a guy here who fought and saved Vader. He sensed everybody around him told him that Darth Vader he can't be redeemed. But he traveled. He spent all his life training, not to be his father, but to convince him to come back to the light. And he achieved that. Together, they defeated the Emperor, right? From that person, he had so much hope in his own father and everyone around him that he would willing to die in front of his father to prove that his dad had some redeeming qualities, and he succeeded. Now you're telling me, yeah, right, after what 30 years or something years afterwards, he sensed a teeny little bit of dark side in his nephew, and he was willing to kill him. I didn't like that. I think a lot of people don't like it. And then, of course, he gave up on the Jedi's. He gave up on himself. He gave up on his sister. He gave up on everyone. I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like the Luke I knew. You know, the person who traveled, spent all his life trying to redeem his own father, and succeeded as well. By sensing a little dark side in his nephew, he's willing to kill him. If I remember correctly, people was not sure about Luke himself. Even Yoda warned Obi-Wan that he may be like his father, but Luke turned out to be okay. So I don't understand why that Luke would do that to his own nephew. That just, in some way, pissed me off. It really pissed me off. When I came out after the second viewing, I was actually annoyed. It's like one of the greatest movie heroes of all time got diminished to this level. That's one of the big ones that really bugged me. And then let's not talk about Leia. I mean, she gets blown out in the vacuum of space, right? And then suddenly she turns into like Superwoman or whatever, Mary Poppins, and flies back in. You know, I can imagine, yeah, she may have the Force, you know, as part of in the family's genetics. Yeah, I can imagine that. But at the same time, it just made no sense. Throughout the original trilogy, they mentioned a little bit, but they never showed that she was practicing and so on and so forth. And suddenly she pulls Mary Poppins, flies back into space, into the spaceship. They could have done this. They didn't really have to have that scene. They really didn't have to have that scene. Then you got some of the side characters. It's like Poe and Finn in the first one wasn't the best characters, but they wasn't bad, but just decent, right? You'll think with the second movie, they had a chance to really kind of raise their profile, give them interesting characters, interesting stories, and so on. But kind of went backwards. I actually got annoyed with them. And the worst one, Daisy Ridley, I thought in the first movie was okay, it's not bad. Okay, I want to see her past. I want to learn a bit more about her history and stuff. But after watching The Last Jedi, I couldn't be bothered. It's just like, without training, she becomes like a Jedi Master, beats Luke up, lifts all these boulders at the end, knows how to fly, knows how to do this. It's like, come on, man. You know, the term Mary Sue really fits that. You know, I don't care what people say. If I'm, you know, what these woke people, West Jedi, saying, you know, this and that. At the end of the day, I don't care if you're a man or woman, right? Everybody needs training. It's like, if I give someone a costume, say a Batman costume, the Batmobile, or his gadgets, would you suddenly become a hero? Would you suddenly be able to go out and start fighting criminals 5-1, 10-1, use all his gadgets, drive his Batmobile, throw his bat sign and catch it back? You will need training to do that. Not just a month, you probably need years of training in the martial arts and how to handle it. You just can't put a suit on and suddenly call yourself a hero, go out there and beat up 10 people. It doesn't work that way. It's like whenever, you know, you go to be a chef, you just can't be a knife. They will teach you how to use a knife to chop things up, because you know why? You might chop your fingers off, right? You might hurt yourself. It's the same thing. If I pass you a lightsaber, you need to know how to use it. So you need training on it. I don't care if you're trying to make a strong woman. You need to make sense. There's just no way. Okay, even if she has abilities, right? She has those strong abilities, but she still needs to learn how to focus those energies, right? Focus this, focus that, focus this. She had no training, and suddenly she goes and beats Luke up. She lifts all these boulders. I remember the Empire Strikes Back. Even Yoda, the Grandmaster, struggled to lift the X-Wing up. And she goes and lifts those hundreds of boulders. Like, damn. That was annoying. Anyway, enough of Last Jedi. And then, of course, the third one, Rise of Skywalker. That was See, the thing is, I didn't hate the movie. I didn't care about the movie because it was such shambles that the editing just kind of like cut and paste. They didn't know which direction they want to do. It made no sense. They tried to please everyone, end up pleasing no one. They made Ray Morris, Mary Sue, made Finn and Poe even more ridiculous, introducing new force powers like teleporting objects, and then had this romance between what's his name again? I actually forgot his name. That's how bad it is. Han Solo's kid, Ben, yeah. Romance between those two. Talking about force romance, I mean, it's like there's no build up to it. Just like what they're doing. I mean, you can see what happened. I mean, the first movie did 2 point something billion. Second one did 1.3 billion. The third one just scraped a billion. Then of course you had the first flop Solo movie, and then you got Rogue One, which ain't bad. I don't mind that. I didn't mind that. I just thought Gina was annoying. She was annoying to be honest, but the film was pretty good. And the very first one, Force Awakens, I did like that. But then after watching the sequel trilogy a year ago, I remember watching episode 1 to 6 again. And you kind of realize how much you appreciate episode 1 to 3. Yeah, he still has his bad acting and some dialogue, but you know what? At least George Lucas tried to expand on the history, expand on the lore, introducing more things about the galaxy and the universe, And that was one more thing was missing as well. I didn't see any good lightsaber battles in the new trilogy, And the same thing, how the hell did Rey learn to beat all those Emperor's Knights, the one in red, especially trained soldiers? Talking about Mary Sue, just ridiculous. But as in saying that, going back to Mandalorian, the first season was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. There was a few problems, of course. Then, of course, the second season, I think they really... I mean, it's not perfect, of course. There were still issues, but I felt it was better than the first season. And introduced more characters. Ahsoka Tano, so on. Boba Fett came back. Probably needs to go on a treadmill for a bit, lose some weight. I thought it was pretty cool. I really did like it. They expand Baby Yoda's history more. Expanded. I was a bit gutted that the ship got blew up, and of course the ending of that series. Like I said, I won't spoil it. I'm just so happy what they did. They was going to spoil it there. I'm just happy that Dave Filoni and I'm blanking out. Who's the other guy who did John Favreau? I said John Favreau. Because you can tell they are Star Wars fans. You can tell they have a lot of love for Star Wars. And that's where Kathleen Kennedy and her people that she brought in, they have no love for Star Wars. To them, it's like a political whiteboard, They're using it to just create some sort of political agenda every second. And I don't want to get too political about certain things, but they need to cool down, relax, focus on a few important things, like good story, good characters, believable situations, have some sense to it. You just can't pick up a lightsaber and suddenly be a Jedi Master. It's the same thing. You can't just become Batman because you just found his costume. It doesn't work that way. It's the same way as you pick up a nunchuck. You think you're going to be Bruce Lee? Try doing nunchucks there. You smack yourself in the head. Simple as this. Stick to a story, good characters, make some sense, respect your audience, and maybe listen to some feedback as well. When one person says this, okay, you can dismiss it. 2 people, you can dismiss it. But when is majority of your fans are telling you this is stupid, maybe Lucasfilm, you should listen to them, because they are the one who's actually kept the franchise alive for this long, even through the thick and thin of it, right? They're the one who supported it, kept giving money to Lucas, kept it alive, kept the comics going, kept the books going. You can't disrespect people like that. Show some respect. The simple question is, what's the question is? This is just logic, right? Show respect, and you get respect back. Disrespect, people disrespect you back. Simple. So, that's my 2 cents for today. Star Wars. What am I looking forward to next? I'm actually looking forward to season 3. And speaking of another thing as well, which annoyed me as well, reading about Gina Carano, about they're trying to erase her from Mandalorian just because she has a different political opinion. Seriously, who cares what she believes in? You're just working with her, right? I mean, how come we can work with someone who's got different religious beliefs, different cultural beliefs, different traditions, male and female, different again, different skin color, different culture. We can work with all these different people. I like hot food, you like cold food. You like chocolate ice cream, I like vanilla ice cream. I like tea, you like coffee. Everyone's different. That's what makes it so good. So if you can work with other people who are different than you, why can't you work with someone who's got a different political beliefs? Seriously? It's a job. Every job you go to, you're going to have someone that disagrees with you, who has different opinions, different religious beliefs, different political. Just put that aside. If that person's doing a good job and the fans like them, which I think she's great, because she's actually, when she beats up a man, it's believable, because we all know Gina Carano was ex-MMA, and you look at the latest Mandalorian, she's bigger than most of the people. So when she actually beats up men, it's believable because she does that in real life. I mean, I won't mess with her in real life. Of course, she'd probably knock me out in a couple of seconds. But you need, and that's what I mean. But of course, if I say that, people will probably call me sexist or something like that. But who cares? Couldn't care less what those people think. If they can't take opinions, why should I respect their opinion if they can't accept other people's opinion? There you go. Anyway, thank you for listening to me rambling again about Star Wars, and thank you for staying this long. Stay safe. Hope everyone has a great, again, 2021. Hope things turn out great. And thank you. See you on the next one. Not sure what I'll talk about next, but that's a good thing, right? We'll find out soon. So take care. Have a good day, evening, wherever you're from.